Good evening, Sharpies, and welcome to Steel, Sharp, and Steel. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens.
I'm Jermaine Taylor.
And Anthony, from your lips to God's ears, it's going to be a great show tonight. I happen to agree. We are, thank you, Anthony, who says we are amongst a bunch of turkeys, not just the ones we'll consume. Again, we've already seen the consumption of some of Trump's own turkeys, which is amazing. And
happy birthday, Jermaine.
Are you going to claim it?
It was yesterday. Thank you, guys.
Well, but we weren't on yesterday, so.
Did y'all see the thirst traps that Jermaine was putting out for his birthday?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Skin and shoulders, just like, as I celebrate my 50th.
I meant to.
What are you, 26, 27? What is it, Jermaine?
Was it again?
26, 27? What are we celebrating this year?
The third anniversary of my 48th. No, I'm 51.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm the oldest person on the show.
I used to not tell my age. Can you believe that? I used to really keep it guarded. I don't know why, but I've just embraced it all of a sudden. But I used to
societal conditioning to believe that getting old is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. I think when you see enough of your contemporaries pass on, it's like, wait a minute, I'm about to proclaim how old I am.
Right. Yeah. I was out there on TikTok. Matter of fact, one of my friends called me out because I was on Threads talking about, look here, I'm 51 and blah, 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 blah. And she hit me up separately. She goes, I thought you were born in 74. I was like, oh shit, that's right. I'm 50. Like I was jumping ahead.
I do that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's it.
We are claiming the ages. So we put out a couple of notes. We've been entreating you all over the past several weeks to invite a friend. We put a note on the page to invite a friend. So we hope that some friends of the Sharpies are going to be coming with us. And for the first time, I think at this point in the show, we have 75%, 80% of our viewers on YouTube.
Yeah,
which is a little bit different. And now we just picked up another one on our Facebook page. And so we'll see how things continue to progress. Hello, Sadita. Thank you for joining us. Jermaine getting all the birthday love. We got candles and cakes and cupcakes and cookies being
I'll
thrown
have to go back and look at the YouTube feed. Yay. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you get to look at that.
Day. I went to my favorite restaurant, and it's not the most highbrow restaurant here, but you've probably been to it, Tom. Bossa Nova.
Where is that? I don't know that I've been to Bossa Nova.
Well, there used to be one right there on Robertson's in front of the Abbey, but they closed that one. I go to the one on Sunset Boulevard, the one in Hollywood, not West Hollywood, because there's two. And I love their freaking pepperoni pizza. So I went to a Brazilian restaurant just to have pepperoni pizza.
Hey, man, treat yourself to what you love.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
That's what you're supposed to do on your birthday, damn.
It's like my grandmother who orders a hamburger, no matter where she goes. It can be the most 5-star restaurant. She wants a cheeseburger.
I heard that. There was the movie. Did you see the movie The Menu?
Yes.
I feel like I have. I don't remember what's about, but I feel like
it's Ralph Fiennes as this intensely crazed chef.
Mm-hmm.
And he invites these people to what is it, an island, Joy?
It's an island where they have like a specific menu that he has created for them, a curated event.
Yes, right. I've seen that.
And it's like a suicide pact, and there's a whole lot of, yes, chef! And at the end, the girl who isn't one of the snooty people who were, she asked for a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And he says, it's going to be the best, that part. It's going to be the best cheeseburger you've ever had. And she said, I don't want some sort of foo-foo blah blah. He says, nope, it's going to be the best cheese with the fries. And he prepares this thing for her. And that's kind of the climax of the movie after a whole lot of other people and other things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's that. Before we get into the show proper, Joy, did you ever watch Blink Twice?
No.
Okay. All right. So we'll just dance off of that. We have a show. And as we said, I made the theme of this show just because it was something that gave me joy today. And that is that Matt Gaetz's pullout game is weak as fuck. And I say that because we were all sitting, and Jermaine among us, I think Jermaine, I'm going to give you the opportunity to have the first word on this because you were very vociferously saying that Matt Gaetz was not going to make it all to the end. So why don't you let us know how you're feeling with these events that happened today? My mama called me with a hint of glee in her voice that was unabashed. So Jermaine, take it away.
Well, first of all, I do understand why people thought that he would make it all the way, because if you guys remember, the Attorney General's position is something that Donald Trump, that's like a coveted position, you know, for him to give someone. You remember the issues he had with Jeff Sessions and how Jeff Sessions just would not deliver?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what he was looking at in Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was directly responsible for Kevin McCarthy, you know, being ousted.
Mm-hmm.
So he saw loyalty. That was the reward. He wanted someone who was going to pretty much be that top cop and pretty much be the person to say, whatever I want you to do, you'll do it. So I can understand why people thought that would have happened. But as the drip became a freaking turned on full blast faucet, people were like, I can't get behind this. Because from what I'm understanding, and my summation is, they were all pretty much going to toe the line, but when the hacker got the information and it was released, and we'll never know what it was, but I sense they saw how damaging and just how dark and just pretty much, you know, beyond the pale. They're like, I can't get behind this. So I feel like the calls came from within. And not just the calls, but everybody. They're like, listen, we'll come with somebody else. The Heritage Foundation probably even said, listen, we got a list of names, and we'll just go with somebody else. But there's no way we're going to be able to like survive this. And he won't like be confirmed. And you'll be humiliated in the process. So it was an orchestration. We'll come up with the letter, all this stuff here. And I believe it worked that way just because, you know, they couldn't get the votes. People just couldn't divorce themselves from that much integrity. You know?
It's Bondi, Anthony Turner. She's a former AG in Florida, a blonde woman, a young-ish blonde woman, who has been on his not completely Ivanka unadjacent. Let's be clear.
Another one.
Correct. She was on his defense team in a couple of these cases. So again, a clear Trump loyalist. I will say this. I was less certain after the committee head initially said Mike Johnson. I mean, it's fine that he said that, but Mike Johnson isn't going to impact our deliberations and our decision on this. And then 24 hours later, he reversed himself, and it ended up being a deadlock 5-5 vote to not release. And then they were supposed to not say anything about it, but then the committee head, under pressure in an interview, said, well, the Bondi said that the investigation wasn't complete. Well, how complete was it? Well, I can't say because it's ongoing. And so, well, how were you even contemplating releasing it if it wasn't complete? So we'll see. I mean, I was not pleased when they decided they weren't going to do it. But then the next bone was that the House called for a full vote of the House to themselves make a determination as to whether or not it would be released. And they only needed 4 votes on the Republican side. And at least one person came out and said, yeah, I'm voting for yes. And then supposedly he went to the Senate. Some senators were like, bruh.
Yeah.
And they talked to him and they were like, this is not happening.
Do you know the timeline of the second accuser, Tom or Joy?
So what apparently happened is that the second accuser and the Venmo payments and all of that came after he stepped back. CNN waited until after he had removed himself and then dropped it. But apparently they had informed him, we're about to drop this story. So we're not pressuring you. We're just letting you know this is about to come out. And this is the second situation with the same girl. And we've got Venmo payments.
Yeah. So, Venmo payments that say things like, for being awesome and for being my friend and just because. $400.
But let me
Right.
share this piece of irony. So, he was accused, and these are all alleged because we don't know, of bringing girls to wherever he was, to like have his situations. And oftentimes they were in New York. One particular time he had like maybe 3 girls there, and he provided some entertainment for them. Guess what show he got them tickets to see? Pretty Woman. A show about a paid hooker.
Sex worker. We're sex positive on this show.
I mean, if you just fully commit.
Right.
Pretty woman, barely 17, pretty woman.
I'm thinking that they put this together. So yeah.
Yeah, he's disgusting, and so that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, yes, you have, Chan. It was just the fact that it's all been released
Put together.
and yeah.
And he'll probably end up in as a rep because he only stepped down from the actual this chair that he's in now. He was actually voted in for the next house. See?
Correct.
So you can't really step down from
could,
something, Yeah.
He could have his job.
Yeah.
Some people have offered on that platform that I no longer subscribe to, that DeSantis could appoint him the senator if Rubio is confirmed. That would be much worse, to be honest. So we'll see. Yeah, he'll definitely land somewhere. Whether or not he still wants, the problem
is greasy.
What? But the problem is, Jermaine, if he goes back to Congress, then the ethics investigation has to continue.
That's right.
And the only reason he quit as quickly as he did was to avoid the results of the ethics.
And it's going to continue to haunt him. And what I find really interesting is that Marjorie Taylor Greene came out of that's the thing about a lot of these like Tea Party / MAGA people, that they never really had control over. As stupid as they are wild cards, right? Yep. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene is out here like, look, this ethics report, if y'all trying to quiet it out, I'm putting case on you and on all of y'all out here. She's like, we putting everybody's business in the street. If y'all try to hush us up, we putting everybody's business out. We're not doing no, covering up nothing. The people have a right to know. And you would think that because she's such a Trump loyalist, that she'd have been like, let's keep it hush hush. She's like, no, we're not hushing up nothing. We're putting everybody's business in the street. And that's when he started having these conversations with other politicians. And they were like, look, bro, you got to shut up. Just step down, stay out of the limelight so we can keep your shit quiet so I can keep my shit quiet. Because they all got stories to tell.
Oh, so, that.
Ironically, a lot of progressives and liberals were like, this might be the only time I ever agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, yes, the taxpayers do have a right to know about all of these hush money deals and behind closed doors settlements and everything that like 2 out of 3 of them have. All of them do dirty things because all of them like cute young girls or boys.
So let's look at a couple of the troll posts. And one of the things, this kind of segues into another part of what the show lineup was about, how when we used to pull tweets of people responding to political stuff, that was kind of like the default platform. Everybody was on Twitter. That's where we got. These trolls, none of them are on Twitter. Threads and now Blue Sky, which is Jack Dempsey's new platform. Jack Dempsey, the original creator of Twitter, who was pushed out or whatever. Now he's got Blue Sky, and so people are going to Blue Sky. But here are some trolly threads that came out right after Gaetz pulled out. So Fetterman says, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. And Donald Trump will probably issue a new silver dollar to commemorate the removal of Matt Gaetz. Then you have Matt Gaetz' bid to be Attorney General didn't even last one Scaramucci. Scaramucci was fired after 4 days on the job. 4 days. And we see this one's a Blue Sky because it's a blue butterfly instead of a blue bird. And then, honestly, I pretty much figured it wouldn't take more than 16 days or so tops for Matt Gaetz to withdraw from consideration for Attorney General. He tends to lose interest after any number higher than that.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm here for all of it. Yay.
Which I thought, that's why that was the last one.
And Bob's got a point. If the cabinet is full of sexual deviants, it normalizes Trump's history of sexual assault.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, right? Linda McMahon is under investigation or under suspicion of.
You're trying to make her Board of Education, yeah.
And then, that's education. And then SecDef also, in addition to being uniquely unqualified to be Secretary of Defense, also claiming the sex was consensual, but you settled a sexual assault case.
Mm-hmm.
I myself, raise your hand if you have 0 sexual assault, even allegations. That would be so. Each of us more qualified to be Secretary of Defense, apparently, his current choice, who is a Fox host presently.
Yeah, he and Trump have a lot of similarities. Like, they both cheated on their wives with like these people in their camps, and then ended up getting these women pregnant, and then marrying the women. Yeah, his third wife, he cheated on his second wife to get her, got her pregnant, then they got married, and she's an executive at Fox. And then in the midst of that, we had the little scandal at the hotel where he held the girl hostage, and, he took her phone and, essayed her.
Well, that sounds consensual to me.
Paid her off,
remove your phone. Super consensual.
And
raise your hand if you've never kidnapped anybody and stolen their phone. Yeah. I was about to say you weren't raising your hand fast enough to make So this is what the cabinet is. There has not been a single person. Tulsi Gabbard, as Director of National Intelligence, this is a person who is basically confirmed to be a Russian asset. One day on the job is too much for her.
Yeah.
One day.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a single pick, not one, that anybody has said, oh, okay. There have been people who are generally perceived to be non-controversial, but no one has been tagged as that's exactly the person that the country needs right now.
Yeah.
No.
Because that's not what it's about.
Because nobody that the country needs right now has ever shown any loyalty or even lean towards Trump, so they would not be picked.
Right. And that's where we are. That's what this country is at this point.
So do you think these guys that these cabinet picks are going to serve more as just a figurehead and be like, pretty much the puppets of what somebody else is wanting them to actually do?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because their resumes don't line up with anything.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And the question is, are the puppet masters even pulling Trump's strings, or are they just pulling everybody around Trump because Trump is actually the one who's going to be completely powerless?
They're absolutely pulling everyone's strings. When the lady from the WWE, she's like, I'm ready to serve. One of the comments underneath that article was like, yeah, but serve who? Yeah. Because it's not the American people. There is a for all of the right conspiracy theory about a shadow puppet government, blah blah blah. They voted for that. They voted for a shadow group. We know who it is. It's the Heritage Foundation, and they've been secretly making moves for over 15 years to get where they are now. I mean, it's a masterclass in patience and strategy, and it worked. They found the right people at the right time and figured this was their chance to go, and they did, and it worked.
Is there anything on her pedigree that lends itself to anything education-wise? Has she served even as a PTA?
Yeah, she was on a board of education and some state for a year somewhere.
So if they're going to dismantle the Department of Education, why does she even need to be a part of a cabinet?
Well, because she's going to be the one to they do this in corporate America all the time. They hire somebody to fire everybody else.
Right.
And
The
she's gonna
department
be the one to
exists,
take
so
the
you
part.
have to fill the role. You can't
Yeah.
dismantle the department without
Mhm.
the department existing, and so you got to wind down the department and all these other
Yeah.
sorts of things.
In Connecticut. Then 2 failed Senate bids after that.
Yeah, I knew that.
Let's get ready to fumble.
Ha.
So
yeah, she's in favor of like school vouchers and using taxpayer dollars to not go to public schools, but to be given to these vouchers to go to private schools where my people already have money. But yeah, basically gut the public education programs and have it all go to private education and be, again, mismanaged and unfairly allocated so that 85 to 90% of students get nothing and 5% rich kids get more rich kid stuff. And they'll be having, I don't know, rock climbing walls and sushi for breakfast and whatnot. Meanwhile, everybody else will be lucky. It's going to push towards homeschooling. And then what they'll say is, well, you should just homeschool your kids. But if you and your husband both have to work because y'all are barely making ends meet as it is, who's homeschooling who? Nobody. Right.
No, JD Vance's mother-in-law.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
And we'll send out powdered eggs as a consolation. So everybody can make powdered eggs.
So remember when we were talking about AOC talking about you need to get into physical community? That is going to be part of, it's not going to be some massive resistance at the government level. It's going to be local. Getting into community is going to be like, okay, so find the nana, the auntie, the retired teacher who's maybe her pension isn't covering what it used to because they've gutted that too. And everybody pull up a little susu for her and let her be the neighborhood teacher because school ain't gonna get it done. And it's gonna be back to everybody walk up the street to go to school, age 5 to 15 or whatever, right there. And maybe a couple of people who's a scientist or whatever, make it work in your neighborhood because schools are gonna fail your children from now on.
I wonder if for the reason that you said, Joy, that there aren't enough families. Well, first of all, let's be clear. People who think that being a teacher is just opening a PowerPoint and reading do not understand what it means to be a teacher. So just because you have someone at home, male or female, who is able to stay at home with your child does not mean that that child is going to learn from you, especially if you don't even know what you're doing. Bear in mind, most of us these days who have children can't even teach their kids new math. Most parents at home aren't going to remember their times tables from when they were kids. So unless you're talking about mailing free Schoolhouse Rock DVDs to every household in America to make sure that your grade school age children can at least learn to memorize the 1 through 12 times tables, I don't know what it is that you're talking about doing. And by the way, all of the songs aren't catchy because the song for 7, no. You got 2 is great, 5 is great. Bro, that is Sesame Street and the Pointer Sisters. That is not Schoolhouse Rock. So you got 2, you got 3 is a magic number. You got 6. I got 6 is a bomb jam. You got 5. You got 9 because 9 is easy. 11 is easy. But like 7 is trash. That song is trash. And then figure 8 is okay. The point is that it's not easy. And even if some blue collar families were willing, I want to take my kids. Most people in this country need that 8 hours of daycare. Don't be confused. That free 8 hours of daycare, which is our public school education system, the vast majority of working America needs that. And so the only backstop that I see against the total apocalypse of the education system that Joy is teasing out for us is that you are not going to be able to do that without creating a huge problem for yourself. And before midterms, I mean, there's a lot that he can try to punch through, but I guarantee if you push this through, there are some people in the Senate smart enough to know that that is going to be a debacle that is going to completely upset the apple cart.
Right. We had a trial run during the pandemic.
Sure did. And it was trash.
People discovered how much their kids really were little assholes.
Did you guys know? I mean, have you guys noticed like how much of an orchestration it is? Not only are they playing to the, got the Department of Education, but even public television like PBS.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I forget what that under the umbrella that falls under within the federal government, but they're slashing that budget too.
Yeah.
What
They've been trying to kill Sesame Street for years.
Exactly. The electric.
Well, but isn't it? It's private now, though, right?
Oh,
Sesame Street's on. Yeah, Sesame Street's not.
But
like you can only get Sesame Street on Netflix, I think, or something.
But that was enrichment for me as a child.
Yeah,
like
of course.
Tidbits. It was almost like a visual encyclopedia. So it's like they're trying to just work on all levels to dumb down this generation that's coming behind us, so they can just fully surrender to the government or whoever's in charge, and just make this world that what
it's 1984. It's 2024.
Yeah, it's like this whole master plan that we see at play.
Big Trumper is watching you.
You act like I ain't said this like every time we get on camera, bro. I've been telling you this.
Well, you didn't say it like that.
Yes, I literally said that they are doing this in order to create low-cost labor in the next generation. They want to indenture everyone, and the way to do it is to stop us from being able to critically think for ourselves. And I talked about lowering the age limit for workers. I talked about them relaxing child labor laws so they could start putting 14-year-olds to work. I talked about all of this before. This is exactly where they're headed. They want to bring the same thing that we rail against with like child labor and all that kind of stuff in other countries. They want to bring that shit here. They want it to be here. Then they can say, well, we have all the jobs here, but they don't want people to think. They want them to do. They want you to go back to mindless work so that they can have an endless supply of employees that they don't have to pay above a minimum wage, because you will not be skilled labor. You'll only be labor. And this is why this goes right into the ban on abortion, because they're going to force you to have children. And if you can't hold a job because you're busy being pregnant, and there won't be any protections for you'll be fired for getting pregnant, have to take a low income job. You won't be able to raise that kid. That kid's going to get spit out 14 years later. They're in the labor force too, which ramps up the generations back to being 15 years apart, as opposed to 30 where they are now. It all goes together. All of it is part. When I tell you, they've been planning this shit for a long time. This is diabolical, but this is the end state of capitalism.
But how do they escape all of this? Like, I understand who they're targeting, but how do they escape all of this?
But they don't.
They don't escape it. They run.
It's Metropolis.
Yes.
It's literally Metropolis, where you got the plebes or the proletariat underground doing all the machines, and you've got the 1% up at the top of the towers in the city who are living off of the efforts of all of that.
Easy, people in the comments. I see you, Anthony, and I'm looking at Bob's comment over here at YouTube. Jermaine isn't paying attention.
Joy did literally say it last episode.
She didn't say it like that. Did she reference
No. That last bit was recycled from earlier shows, but the almost word for word shit that she said last episode is what you basically just said, which is why she was reiterating it with such a bemused smirk on her face. She's
I have tequila fog this afternoon. Leave me alone.
It's all good. It's all
post birthday fruition. It's fine. So one of the other things, if I can, we're at the 30-minute mark. One of the things that really stuck out to me this week were a couple of things. One, Nancy Mace. Now, Nancy Mace is a trash fire after she, as a raccoon, dumped the garbage onto the floor and then dipped her tail in gasoline and then struck a match to it and ran through the garbage. That's who Nancy Mace is. Nancy Mace is a horrible, terrible person. This is a person who is, I'm not going to comment on the trauma she has received as a victim of SA, but she used that to shut off critique of her about the issue of abortion, which is what I find to be objectionable. Yeah. At any rate, the first ever openly transgender person to be elected to Congress have been elected to Congress. And so, just like clockwork, you had people on the GOP side throwing up a law basically to guard against a single person. It is the first law of which I am aware that this is true, that is literally designed to guard against one person using the bathroom at the Capitol.
Yeah.
And what the argument is, basically the language is, you must use a bathroom of your gender assignment at birth. AOC had quite a bit to say about it, but our good friend Booker Squared was even more pithy. So I'm going to, now that I've set it up for you, I'm going to play and you enjoy.
A resolution that would ban biological men from women's private spaces.
The weirdest thing about Nancy Mace opposing gender-affirming measures is that she would really benefit from facial feminization surgery. Just strong in the face.
Just strong in the face. And somebody in the comments of that post said, also Matt Gaetz has had facial surgery. And somebody also commented that Nancy Mace has had breast augmentation. And what is breast augmentation except feminization surgery?
Testosterone replacement. Who hasn't?
Well, I mean, the simple point of fact is that people are trying, in the midst of everything else that's going on, people are trying to pull focus onto transphobia and otherizing this woman who was elected by her constituents to serve in Congress. They elected a woman to serve in Congress. The expectation is that that woman, when that woman needs to use the bathroom, is going to use the bathroom in the women's bathroom. That's what any normal expectation of anybody would be in a workplace where there are bathrooms that are gender assigned. I don't know if any of you have noticed that there are many, many more gender neutral bathrooms, especially if they're one toilet bathrooms. You go to a fast food restaurant, it's now just gender neutral. It's not a men or a women's, because it saves you money if you don't have to have two. So
it's actually more efficient. Like if you go out to a bar or whatever, or a club, you got a line stacked up for the women's restroom and nobody's in the men's restroom. Right. If you just say, you got it's just a restroom, because half the time women that are in a hurry, we're going in the men's restroom anyway, because we gotta go. So you might as well just open them both up. It's just ridiculous to begin with.
And of course, all of us in our individual homes have gender specific bathrooms. That's right, we don't.
She's looking for a way to stay relevant. They fundraise off this issue all the time. It's one of those hot button issues where they raise a lot of money. Remember when she got into that big brouhaha with Eric Dyson and Keith Boykin over Kamala's name? And it sort of looked like this. Yeah, it was just yet another ploy that she likes to find to insert herself in the narrative so that Trump can see her. Yeah. There's another cabinet pick that I could be available to. So let me create drama. Because this wasn't an issue. Nobody was talking about bathrooms. Nobody was talking about it. We've moved on, like you guys just said. Everything is gender neutral. She created something just to get the eyes back on her, people talking about her in hopes that it might lead to something bigger. That's all she did. That's all she did, in my opinion. A big grift. And I don't like her. And I everything Elizabeth said.
I don't know. Just strong in the face. It was her. It was her grimace that kind of did it for me.
And I hate being petty with people's looks, but that really made me mad. I was like, come on, what are you talking about?
I mean, listen, she's being petty with people's looks.
So. She's mad because that woman's prettier than
her. And knows how to do a smoky eye really
right?
Truth be told, that's why a lot of people started watching Drag Race, because they were looking for tips.
Yo, if you think I didn't learn how to contour my cheeks from Raven back in the day.
Not Raven.
That's exactly where I got it from.
How did you get that jaw?
Yeah, I am intrigued by how this country has changed since November 5th and the naked aggression that racists who heretofore have been holding that down to a simmer under the surface, like the bubbles are at the top of the water. But now they turned it up, and so the bubbles are popping, and you can see the steam rising off the surface of the water, and now it's bubbling over, and the pasta juice is spilling out the pan and burning stuff. People are losing their minds in their glee to be nakedly racist. Those text messages, I think we talked about these last week about the text
to the college.
Yeah, well, not only the college, but report to your plantation to pick cotton from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Those are the ones that went to all the colleges. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying it's beyond colleges too. It was going to communities everywhere, and different people have. There was an outfit in Canada that was using the spams, and the outfit in Canada, they actually shut them down. Some were traced back to a troll farm in Poland. There's a whole lot of stuff that has been happening. And one of the reports I saw today was about a teacher who had a fashion class, and the fashion was mostly with Black students and out here, in Beverly Hills High. And all of a sudden, a bunch of students just burst into the hallways with a big Trump flag, walking through the hallways, and were banging on her door. And the kids were scared, and had to make presentations to, I don't know if it was the city council or they were talking to other people in the school about how they've been called the N-word, epithets being scrawled, all of this stuff at high school.
They were going to start hunting us.
Yeah. It was in Beverly Hills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I feel like right now, because it happened the last time he was elected, it was like immediate knee-jerk, this is what I'm going to do. It dies down. It only dies down after the pushback, and we're like, yo, some of us ain't going to take that. So I feel like right now, that's just the immediate reaction we're having. I mean, it's yet to be determined if that's going to be the norm for like the next 4 years. I highly doubt it. I mean, how many times are you going to see a white man get popped in the face at a freaking Applebee's before you get the message? Because there's plenty of videos on that.
Well,
so, I mean, I haven't been outside of California since this world order has like been put into place. So I don't know what they're doing in Texas. When I go home Christmas, I'm going to be guarded, and I'll be extra sensitive, trying my best not to read into every slight look, but, but that's where I am now. But, I feel like right now it's just immediate. That's just the immediate reaction people are just having, because there's just no way people feel like this is just going to be the way that we're going to live. We haven't shown them that we're willing to tolerate such. At least I don't think.
It's difficult to say. I mean, I think we would all like to believe. I mean, I know the only solace that I've really had is that I live in this state, and because I live in California, and because we are like the world's third largest economy or whatever it is, and we are on the far West Coast, and so I don't have to deal with a lot of craziness. We have a Democratic governor. Our state is very, very, very Democratic, and certainly in Southern California. So, I know Joy has posted some things in our chat about Black women being like, just sitting back. Oh, the world's burning. Okay, I've got marshmallows. We'll do s'mores.
To be you.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to show you a video, and it's funny that it came up in my algorithm because I have very often, as a D&I consultant for corporate America, I have told people that I very often feel like the miracle worker, the play, the story of Helen Keller, et cetera, and the woman that tried to teach her how to speak. And I would remind people of the play and how she broke through at the end and blah, blah, blah. And, sometimes I feel like that's how I feel like trying to save someone from themselves. And like, I keep pushing and I keep pushing. And I think that someday I'm going to make a breakthrough and they're going to understand what I've been going through. But there's the scene from early on that came up in my feed. And I'm going to show you this scene. If I can bring this up, because I'm going to tell you how this describes America. Hang on a second. Where is mine? Nope, not that. Here. Bear with me for a second. Let me get this ready.
From our plates? I'm afraid I'm not used to it.
No, of course not.
Oh!
Viney, please bring Miss Sullivan another plate.
There's nothing wrong with my plate, Captain. Only that Helen's
Now,
hands don't belong.
Helen Keller is
One plate is
MAGA.
hardly worth spoiling our breakfast over.
You see, she's just going to keep trying until she gets away.
I must insist that you let the girl go. Thank you.
Woman in the green is the liberals.
Oh! Oh, look, now she's hurt herself. No, she hasn't. I know a tantrum when I see one. And a badly spoiled child. Miss Sullivan.
Please show some pity.
For this kind of behavior. Pity's the one thing she doesn't feel. The whole house waits on her hand and foot.
Yeah, you stay out of this.
Letting Helen have her own way, it's really such a small thing. Small! It seems you've all
Democrats.
decided it's easier to feel sorry for Helen than to teach her how to behave.
Well, I've not seen that you've taught her anything yet, Miss Sullivan.
Republicans.
Quite right, Captain. Well observed. I'll start right now if you leave the room.
Leave the room?
Yes, please, Captain. Right now, if you leave the room. Miss Sullivan, if you're not willing to stand up to one tantrum, I cannot teach her anything. Mrs. Keller, you asked if there was anything I needed. Yes, but I need to be alone with Helen. Right now.
Miss Sullivan?
Oh, Captain. James? Captain, may I speak with you outside?
Now here's the problem. In the movie, they all leave. We're not going to talk about the Mexican maid. That's a whole new thing. In the movie, they all leave. Now listen to what he says when they're outside.
This is absurd.
Arthur, I am sure that she is only trying to do what is best.
I will not have my house turned into a circus. Unless there's a change in attitude, Miss Sullivan is dismissed.
Arthur, and then what hope do we have for Helen?
If she doesn't make a change, then I will have her dismissed. When I saw that, I was like, see, this is what happened. You got good white and slightly less good white, and you got these small group of assholes throwing a tantrum on the fucking floor, and you got this other group that's like, let me handle this. If you let me do what I know I need to do, I can fix this. And what are they like? Well, I will not have a circus in my house. Well, this is untoward. This is uncalled for. This is uncivilized. Just let them have their way. It's just easier just to let them have their way. And unfortunately, we did not get them to walk out and let us do what we needed to do. And so now Helen Keller is running the fucking house, right? And we have seen this. We have seen people who let their kids run the house. We have seen people who said, my kid won't eat nothing but peanut butter. And so we just let them do whatever they want. And then kids grow up rotten, right? They grow up to hate their parents, right? We know how this goes. And so that's why I wanted to use that example. When you take comfort over doing what's right to save face in the moment. This is why I say it doesn't matter if the recounts come in and they discover that somebody is hacked, because they don't want to have the discomfort of fighting the tantrum on the floor. They don't want to have that. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to risk their lives. They don't want to see themselves in trouble or put in jeopardy any sort of thing that's going to disrupt or make their white cousins uncomfortable. They rather, it's so much trouble. And they leave the people that could actually put this country right hanging. Well, if you don't get it right the first time, you're dismissed. And they have dismissed us. All right, fine. Let this bitch burn down then. And so that's why you see black women sitting over here like, I tried to solve your little problem with your little temper tantrum ass shit. But you know what? I'm gonna be over here.
The thing that struck me about, and I've seen a bunch of different versions of that scene. I remember seeing the one with Patty Duke back in the way back in the day, and all of this other sort of stuff. And I agree, Anthony, that was an excellent analogy. The thing that kept occurring to me was, how does Helen know if the other people are in the room? Legit. Like, I understand that they were distracting Miss Sullivan, but if Miss Sullivan had been able to ignore them and they had just been able to eat, now maybe they just didn't want to see what she was finna do to Helen. Maybe she was about to tax Helen the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
But Helen didn't know who was touching her. Helen had no awareness of what was going on other than she was used to eating her cornbread the way she wanted to. And now all of a sudden she couldn't eat it. And she didn't understand.
What I didn't show is at some point, she goes around to all the other chairs looking for
to feel for the people.
Other people. And she realizes ain't nobody in the room but her and this person that is not letting her have her way. And she slowly starts to calm down and eat like a civilized person. Because when you take away the rest of their options and force them to play by the rules, and they got to play by the rules. Yeah.
And that was, Joy, we are actually doing a very stream of consciousness show tonight, because what you just said brings me to another Instagram. I mean, Instagram is my life right now. I'm finally back on the socials. I was saying last week, my day was turn on YouTube and listen to people talk trash about Trump. And then when I couldn't do that anymore, I had to slowly segue myself into getting into socials again. And the thing that reminds me of what you just said, Joy, is there's a kid who says, I'm hungry. And the mama says, there's food in the kitchen. Well, I don't want that food. Then you're not hungry. But I am hungry. No, you're not. Right. You want to eat something. If you were hungry, you wouldn't care about the choice. You would eat what there is. You're not, I'm starving, Mom. You're not starving because you're still talking. Mm-hmm. The food is in the kitchen. If you ain't want that food, you ain't hungry, because a hungry person go eat that food. And that's where we are as a country, where we are sitting here. I'm literally like, I've made some decisions about what I'm going to process, what I'm going to look at, what I'm going to consume for the next 2 years. Call it the next year, because then the election cycle for midterms is going to kick up. And once that starts, maybe it'll be some normalization that I can actually start getting into. But everything is about 2026 right now. Everything is about 2026, because unless something dramatic happens. We gamed out a scenario last week about what possibly could maybe happen. Unless that happens, 2026 is what we're looking at right now. And we just have to hope that Alito and Thomas are egotistical enough to not retire. Although there's almost no chance that's going to happen. Good money means, strike while you have the Senate, because in 2026 you may lose the Senate.
Yeah. I'm taking comfort in the fact that they are going to be soon, and we're already seeing it manifest, turning on themselves. Mm-hmm. Because we can't do anything else for them. When Walmart, the CEO at Walmart and the CEO at Lowe's pretty much all but declared that prices will go up as a result of these tariffs. Walmart, on any given day of the week, I go to Walmart just to look at MAGA.
Walmart is where poor people go. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's MAGA. That's a one-stop shop for anything MAGA. You know what I'm saying? So when those things start to reverberate in their pocketbooks, that's when people start making noise. The cracks will begin to form. There's nothing that we could, there's buyer's remorse all over social media right now, because people just didn't have the know-how, or just didn't know what they were voting for. They just heard strongman talk about strongman. I hate women. Yeah. I'll vote for it. Not knowing how much of a shot in the foot, it was. So we're just going to have to just let them eat their own, because there's just nothing more we can do. Did you say that too?
Yes.
When did you say that? Because I ain't heard you say that.
I ought to close this fucking computer.
Girl, I was
drive
to freaking Atlanta, and we gonna fight each other.
We gonna fight, because you kept trying to tell me I'm not ready to. You weren't ready to hear it, but I have been saying this since election night. Okay. You weren't ready to hear it, because you were all on, we were going to fight. It took you a while to digest this, but I very much have been, I'm not doing shit. I'm done. I'm sitting back. I'm going to let them eat all of everything that you have just now reached. I reached before.
Can I get a referee in Utah? You can't get.
No, don't even try it. You have laid
just gonna
this
let this
tequila
smack down
fueled
now.
bed, and you go sit there, and you gonna eat the worm, and you gonna take these because these aren't even strays. These are direct, hard targeted missile
I
strikes.
don't know if she said it like that though, because if you said it
You
like
keep
that,
talking about saying it like that as though you were unable to process
you.
context and nuance.
We are all family up here.
Yeah, we truly are, Bob. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
This is how we
Going
do,
back
Bob.
to you, Bob.
This ain't serious.
Yeah, no. If you say one more time, if you repeat some shit that Joy Bendon said one more time, I swear to God, she is going to stab a knitting needle into her camera, into your forehead.
I had to Jermaine Taylorize it.
Yes.
To the max.
And you know what? It's sometimes you do have to digest it at your own pace, you know. And so I'm just glad that you're getting there, because I was a little worried. I was like, Jermaine ain't hearing this, and I was worried that you were like, I feel like you think it's gonna be fine. I was like, it ain't gonna be fine.
But I feel like there was a different context that you presented in that I just couldn't fully get behind.
Wait, Joy,
you just weren't ready to hear it.
Joy, you do realize what's going on, right?
What?
He is Jermaine splaining to you.
Jermaine splaining.
I'm going back to those shows.
I have to keep from crying.
CJ, are you in the comments? I need you. Because I don't have any backup in the comments right now. I see Vince, and that's about it.
You do remember this quote, though, right? You do remember what Anthony says on screen. What percentage of Black women is smoke?
I don't know the exact number, but I know she mentioned something about Black women being smoke.
Black women about 85%.
85%
smoke. We don't want this because we come ready with receipts, because we are used to not being believed. And so when we say something, we've already researched it. We already know what we're talking about. So
please do not tell Joy actually it was 86%. Just don't.
But you know what? To Chan's point, the government does need some trimming. So maybe once they end up breaking shit, it lays the groundwork for some real reform. Probably the only civil line. Yeah, it will be rising from the ashes sort of situation, because they're gonna set some stuff on fire. They're going to make some things unrecoverable. Some things are gonna have to be built from the ground up once again. It'll be a new America, so to speak, because the problem is there are going to be so many things happening so rapidly that it'll be whiplash, and people won't realize, when did that change? When did that change? When did they take this away? The same way we don't remember, when did this become, like, people don't remember when public universities became profit centers. It just seems like it was always that way. When did that change? When did insurance companies become profit centers? When did we lose this? When did this change? And it'll be so rapid. We'll have our eye look over here at this transgender nonsense, and all of a sudden we've lost all of these governmental regulations. When did the Mississippi River turn blue? Like, all of this will be happening, and we won't notice it. And they will have to just say, well, you know what? We don't know what kind of fuckery they did. Let's just start anew. And that'll probably be around 2028, 2030 cycle, because 2026 is going to be focused on, can we even stop the nonsense?
Anything they propose that has anything to do with money, that has to be a legislative proposal. So those things won't happen as fast.
They own the House.
The problem is, it's not even a Republican thing. It's a capitalist thing. The problem is there are capitalist interests on both sides. And so even though there's all of this, it's good for the environment, it's good for the economy, let's not forget that there are major corporate interests on both sides that'll be like, well, yeah, they did that, but I mean, let's trim it a little. Let's take a look at it, and maybe not so much of blah, 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 blah. The same way people forget that even though they condemned the human experimentation that happened in Nazi Germany, they kept that research. And they damn sure did do something with it. Yeah, they will. It won't be a whole like sweeping, let's erase everything that happened. It'll be, well, let's pick and choose. And some of this wasn't so bad. And we'll get to that later. And it'll be a while before all the damage is overcome. Yeah. Like Anthony said, distractions and deflections. And some of it they won't even be paying attention to because it may not necessarily be on their radar that it even happened. You know, I really fear for the Native Americans because once again, we've broken every treaty that we've ever had with them, and they aren't necessarily a top priority even for the liberals in the Democratic Party. Even though we do have Native American representation, it's one, maybe two voices out of over 700 total in the government, and they may get trampled in the middle of all of this. You know, nobody's really looking out for them, not to speak of. You know, and so I worry what's going to happen to our rivers and streams, because when they relax all of these corporate regulations, they're going to start dumping toxic waste because it makes more money. It costs money to do the right thing and protect the environment. And if you can make an extra $600 million just by dumping stuff and not taking it all the way to the proper authorities or whatnot, because the authorities are no longer there, they'll dump it. And it takes a generation to get that shit out of the water. And so once it's done, it's done. You know, so there will be no just going back. You got to have all the stuff to fix it. You know, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. You're going to have people that are going to be chronically ill. The same way we talk about like long COVID. I remember one of the reasons I remember when I was young, I said I would never work for Exxon. And ironically, Exxon is the ones telling us now not to make Paris Accords. But I remember Exxon donated some land, and I may be wrong. My memory might be wrong about whether it was Exxon or Shell or what oil company. Exxon imprinted in my head. They donated land to an elementary school. Well, elementary school was built on it eventually. And all the kids in that neighborhood, in that area, ended up having respiratory issues and all this other type of shit going on with them. And then they discovered later that land had toxic stuff underneath it. And they knew it when they donated. That's why they didn't want it, because they couldn't do anything with it. So they just gave it away. And the city chose to put a school on it. So it was all happenstance. But I remember thinking, that's fucked up that you did.
A lot of factory towns are like that. Port Arthur, Texas is like that. Their cancer rate in Port Arthur, Texas is off the charts because it's a factory town. I mean, it's like, they work in harmony. It's like, it's good for the economy, but at the same time, people are just dying of cancer at freaking 55. You know, it's kind of like they work in concert. But this is what I go back to. Like, there's a proposal within Project 2025 that wants to take away any sort of warnings that we may have when there's like weather. I think it has something to do with the what is that department that regulates weather notifications? Anyway, they don't want that to be a part of this, you know, going forward. They want to like strip that. If they do, and they see the fallout from that, more people losing their homes, even a lot more people dying. Don't you think at that point there would be a reassessment of such an extreme policy and they would revert back? Or you feel like they would continue to move forward?
They're gonna cover that up.
Well, the people would have to respond and make the officials revert back.
What people?
Not like
the dead people?
The ones that are dying. We're not going to.
The dead people don't make policy.
Do you remember?
Oh, now we got all this free land that's available in Florida.
Do you remember what happened during COVID?
I do remember what happened
when he ended up suggesting sunshine, bright light, and bleach, and people are still, and hydrochloroquine and ivermectin, which people are still taking.
But as a result of that, guys, some people will fucking rise up against that. It's not like you're just going to roll over and just take it.
They just
rise up from their IVs and their intubation.
Well, I'm talking about those that still have a voice and can fight for the less among us. I'm sorry. Like, if you see as a result of people not having enough warning to get out of a tornado's way or hurricane's way, after the fourth or fifth time, people are going to start to like push back. People have pushed back on freaking dictators before. They just have. I do understand the freaking panic and it's going to be brand new for a country like this. But I just don't think it'll just be all freaking total surrender. After a certain point, you're going to have to learn how to like put your guards back up and start fighting back against this if you want to survive in this country. I get it. But we're not just destitute, especially those of us who understand and know a life before this.
So let's
get what you're saying, but
let's talk that through. Let's talk that through. Give me an example. Like, let's say we won't even use. Well, let's use Florida because it's an easy target. Florida's always got a hurricane coming, right? If the National Weather Advisory does not let them know that a tornado is coming. They might not have a lot of time to evacuate, et cetera, et cetera. And so a lot of people die in Florida. And then what happens after that? Who is going to be the people that rise up? Who are you thinking?
I'm saying after a while, people will rise up.
I asked you a question. Who?
People that are affected, the ones that have gone through that several times.
Okay.
They will.
They've gone through that several times. So you're talking maybe over the course of a year, maybe at least one hurricane cycle.
I don't know what timetable it will, but when people's threshold finally it's maxed, people will begin to respond. I do know that about the human psyche. They just do.
And it's very likely that the people in Florida will have something happen to them. And people in another state might say, wow, I don't want that to happen to me. Hypothetically, right? Because when it happened to Puerto Rico, other people had empathy for them. We saw people say, wow, that shouldn't happen like it happened in Puerto Rico. We shouldn't vote that shit in again. Right?
And Puerto Ricans voted.
The Puerto Ricans aren't really Americans, but Floridians are some of his biggest base. He lives in Florida. So naturally, people will stand up for that and say, well, maybe we should put that back because Texas really does care about Florida. And so does Arizona or maybe Iowa. They care about what happens in Florida because the people in Florida are stuck with the folks that they already voted for who will not, because they will have already voted for this. They will have put this in place. They might change their mind, but it depends on if the people that we've already admitted are running this are not the folks that are elected anymore. There's a shadow people back there.
You cannot convince me that when extreme policies begins to affect the pocketbook, like when that freaking Safeway gets knocked down for the third time due to not knowing that a hurricane was coming, they didn't reinforce it or whatever. That corporation is going to be like, yo, Representative so-and-so, you need to start letting us know when this is coming because I can't keep building up this grocery store from the ground up every time there's a hurricane and people don't have anywhere to shop and there's no money here. So it's a dry land. There's nobody to support you. It's pretty much a tanked economy.
Yeah, national
it can't
change
happen too many times before people will lose money, and that's when people will start to fight. So
I don't know if in the course of 4 years.
I get what you're saying, Joy, but sometimes it's just there's another point of view.
There's another point of view, but remember today is November 21st. When you get to where I am, remember that on November 21st, I said this when you Jermaine-splained this in about 18 months.
Whatever, Joy. Stop it.
All right, when we get to the point of whatever, Joy, let's move on to another topic. I would like to talk to this is where we're going to turn the corner into a couple of different things. First of all, I want to share this that Joy shared with me. I think it's particularly apropos at this moment.
The word of the day is fructose intolerant, the condition of being completely unable to tolerate other people's bullshit. Fructose intolerant.
So we are going to, on that measure, we are going to take a look at one of my favorite representatives from the great state of Texas, who is absolutely handing Comer's ass right back to him. So let's take a look at this. It's almost 2 minutes long, but so well worth it.
Let me tell you, the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same Black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed, that y'all are the ones that are being harmed, That's not the definition of oppression. You tell me the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment that you've had, and we can have a conversation.
You could start with Exodus.
The final thing that I will say, diversity works. And until you can show me data that says otherwise, I think that we need to go back to being a country that listens to experts and gets out of our feelings and recognizes, again, that racism is real in this country. And until we stop pretending that it's not, we will not solve the problems that we are consistently facing. And that will bring real unity that we seek when we're looking for a more perfect union.
Now, I want to ask, did y'all hear
Yes.
that absolute clown say, try with Exodus?
He said you can start with Exodus. And this is the problem with American Christianity, is they really do believe that white people were the chosen Hebrew slaves in the Bible. He thinks white people traveled through the desert for 40 years.
Yeah.
But also, that's not this country.
Yeah, that part.
That is so old that the only documentation you have is that book.
But I mean, the Russian Orthodox Church does believe that, like, what was it? The angel wrestled with Peter, Joshua, whatever, the angel was wrestling with somebody happened in, like, Russia.
There's a lot of freaking mixed messaging and just blatant misunderstanding about the Bible. People really, I mean, we're cursed people because we're dark skinned, according to them. So
the whole curse of Cain and whatnot.
Yeah.
To be fair, some of us.
Negro, I will come at you because I'm a lot closer to you than I'm her.
You can go get him for that. I'm not with him. I did not say that.
No,
I do not rock with him.
I don't care. I've seen you. I know how tall you are. I got a stick.
Sweep the leg.
Not sweep the leg. So here's another thing that brought me some joy in my day, because in addition to it reminding me about how government operates in this country, it was just friggin' adorable. That's Gaetz.
Non, moi je rentre pas dans vos histoires.
That is too cute.
How do you have a household that argues so much that the children can argue in gibberish and fully believe that they are having a constructive?
They understood each other because they was making point and counterpoint. I want to put this comment up though. So to Ben said, to Jermaine's point, it's like all the town halls when the GOP people thought they were about to lose their health care. So yeah, people will rise up and protest when they think they're about to lose something that's important to them. However, I don't know that they would have listened if they could have figured out how to repeal it. I think they were still going to try to do it. And they did have people that spoke to their congressmen. It's like, if you do this, we're going to ride. We ride at dawn if you take my Affordable Health Care Act, because they didn't know it was Obamacare. So that is a great point of something that was a national program. And people are like, no, don't do that. But local things that affect regions, I don't know that other regions, this country's so caught up in rugged individualism that I don't know that something that only affects a region would be something that could get pushed at a national level. Like, especially when we start talking about throwing stuff to the states, like the weather systems, people in Georgia don't give a damn about tornadoes, because we don't have them here. Yeah. We could care less about earthquakes, but let a snowstorm hit and we'd be mad,
It's probably important to remind folks at this juncture, it came down to John McCain protecting the ACA.
Yes.
It came down
Instead
to
of all those
one
town halls.
single vote. And that vote was a middle finger to Trump.
Yeah.
It didn't so much have to do with John McCain caring about Arizonans, although I feel confident that he did. He did that to screw. John McCain is the only reason the ACA survived. So when you talk about people rising up and everything else, all of the hue and cry, most of the electorate was underinformed. Most of the electorate did not understand that what he was demonizing as Obamacare was the same healthcare they were actually living under with no pre-existing conditions. And the electorate apparently didn't care that he said he's got a concept of a plan when he wants to repeal Obamacare. Now, he has stepped back a little from that. That's no longer a day one thing because he knows he's got to have something to replace it. And there is no replacing it.
Mm-mm.
It was a struggle to get where we got.
Obama was actually pretty damn diabolical in the way he set it up. He put tentacles and hooks in a lot of things. You got to do multiple surgeries to get rid of it.
Yeah, you got to really unwind that thing. He did it, and he knew what he was doing when he did it, which is not going to help us if he gets to put in 2 36-year-old Supreme Court justices. No. I do not think that Eileen Cannon could get approved. I do not think Eileen Cannon could be approved.
She's already been compromised. I mean, with her decisions thus far on the national.
I mean, sure, but I'm saying I don't think the Senate would approve her.
Yeah.
I don't think he has the balls to nominate that person in particular. But there are plenty of other judges who are not that crazy judge who wanted to ban mifepristone.
Yeah.
The Kaczmarek guy. He's young.
Even with that being on the table, I feel like, pharmacy, big pharma, they're going to sue the government because that's a cash cow for them. They want to get rid of it, but at the same time, wait a minute, you got these people who are running your campaign that are relying on the money from the sale of it. So those are the things that I'm watching that are kind of giving me a little bit of saving grace here. Like you're getting ahead of yourself in this extreme agenda. Fannie Mae and all these freaking student loan companies, when you dismantle the Department of Education, how are they going to recoup any kind of money? They'll start to sue. So there are measures in place that we just haven't really, really thought about that's going to slow the train down until we get to a point to where we have a little bit more pushback in the way of representatives. I mean, it's just will. I get it. I know it might be rose-colored glasses, but I get it. People will rise up. Like what few white women we were able to pull away when they lost agency over their bodies, they
still reelected him. But they reelected him.
I said, what few white women? Did you not? I said that.
I heard few, but their bodies,
but
you would
still,
have thought.
They lost with us.
Something in the people who lost something. We didn't win enough, but a few were like, wait a minute. They made noise. When you take away something that people are used to having or depend on, a lot of people do respond. Maybe not enough, but some people will. And that's we'll just have to hope that something like that happens when these extreme policies are trying to get enacted. That's just all I'm saying, guys. I mean, I get what we're up against.
We are up against a lot. And it's going to take a concerted effort to try and maintain the freedoms that we have now, because I think that they will be eroded quickly and it'll be so much stuff flying around and slipping through our fingers that we'll be trying to hold on to maybe one or two major things, and a lot of other stuff will just fall to the wayside because there's only so much that we can focus on. And they might be focused on trying to maintain a functioning government and let a lot of other stuff fall to the wayside because there's just not enough things that they can focus on trying to get one or two bills passed. And in the meanwhile, all these other executive orders sneak right past them. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, because it's going to affect the everyday person as it's already happening, So we'll see what happens. I still say that I think now would be a great time for the Democratic Party to dissolve itself completely. Just be like, you know what, we fucked up. we clearly are, just admit it, just we are out of touch. We don't understand what's really at stake, and rebrand with new leaders and a new approach, rebrand as the Labor Party. We've seen that to happen to good effect in a lot of other countries, where you stop having this like esoteric understanding of what does it mean to be a Democrat or Republican, take those names away and just say we're all about the little man, because the Democrats have been trying to say that, but then they get confused with all these other causes, social causes that allow the right to say they're all about social causes. And they really want to say we're about trying to help the middle class. And if you came out rebranded as the Labor Party, it would catch the eye and ear of all those people that like simple sentences. And you could say unions, we're the Labor Party. Teachers, we're the Labor Party. Steel workers, we're the Labor Party. And just say, and we're all about labor. We're all about the middle class. We're all about cutting your taxes because we're the Labor Party. You wouldn't have to explain shit else. And then people
so how
say,
much
well,
more
all
simple can you say, I want to give you $25,000 to buy your first home? How
no,
much more simple can you make that?
It's already tainted because the Democratic Party has already been tainted as hyper liberal, overrun by progressive who want to do all these things with giving transgender reassignment surgery to prisoners and border. They've been inundated with small fringe causes. You got to sweep all of that away. And I know that they all still need to be there, but you can't lead with that. You got to lead with something that matters to the people that sit on the fence and heard that, even though it was a lie, heard Trump and his people saying, we're going to help the little guy. That needs to be a story. It needs to be money first. And they led with do the right thing, which I can tell you from dealing with corporate America, do the right thing. Nobody gives a fuck about that. They never have. How can I make money for me and my family? And they came with that story way too late in the game. I didn't start seeing ads for the Democratic, from the DNC. I didn't start seeing ads about we're going to have tax cuts for millions of Americans until maybe 3 weeks out. And then I started seeing them more and more. And not only that, because I watch a lot of YouTube, I did notice because all that money that Elon was spending, you couldn't skip Trump's ads, but you could skip hers. And I think that's all in how they spent their money. And so people was missing her stuff and hearing over and over again how she failed at the border. I could not skip that ad, no matter how hard I tried. Remember, Tom, when I was telling you how the hell did I get on all of these Trump text messages? They bought them lists. And if they were coming to me, they were coming to all the other people who may have been in the middle of the road. And even though I was getting stuff from Kamala, I was getting stuff from him too. And I don't know that Kamala people were reaching out that same way. But my point is the Democratic Party has been tainted as a bunch of neoliberal, hypersensitive snowflake stuff. Just push all that away and say, yeah, you're right. You know what? We're done with that. We are the Labor Party. Rebrand, come out with something new, and focus it on that Rust Belt person who says, I need help with my taxes, with my money, with making ends meet, and let that be the only message. You can sneak all the rest of the stuff back in there, but don't let it be a part of your platform. Take all of that away. And then you can sneak whatever you want in, but that's got to be the way they come back at it.
The symbol of the party is already a donkey, and the donkey is a beast of
burden. Mm-hmm.
Well, so there are some things on the table already that could help do what you're talking about, Joy. I think they would be loath to completely abandon the marketing and the branding, but I think the re-centered focus, and of course we're going to have the best opportunity to test that in 2026, but the re-centered focus is certainly you can't have done worse than losing both houses, the Supreme Court for the next 30 years, and the White House. So you might as well. MAGA is not self-sustaining because the lies, I think to Jermaine's point, the lies eventually will collapse onto themselves. And, Trump isn't going to be around forever. So unlike Futurama, where a Trump floating head can live indefinitely, that's not going to happen. So it's going to be something that is going to cause people to kind of refocus and reassess and take a look at different things. While you were talking about doing the right thing, Joy, it brings me to the last story that we have in the show today. And this goes back to a very tragic story that we covered on the show quite extensively when it actually happened. And it's about Botham Jean. So if you remember, this is a black man who was sitting in his apartment, and a white former police officer, white female former police officer, came into his house thinking it was her house and shot him dead in his own house because she thought she was in her house, was on the wrong floor, did not pay attention, not even sure how she got into his house, frankly. He must have had the door ajar.
It was open.
So that family, the family of Botham Jean, was just awarded a $98.6 million verdict by a Dallas jury. So this is Texas. Now, a lot of people at the time, the Jean family was very, very forgiving. There was commentary that they offered to give Amber a hug in the courtroom. And
I remember that the judge gave her a Bible.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot, and I know for one, I was like, nah.
Her name was Tammy Camp, a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and I want to choke her that day.
Yeah, we wasn't feeling it.
Oh, I was like, are you kidding me?
So now, Joy said in the chat, I wonder if the family's going to ever see any of that money, just like Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman are not likely to see very much of the money from Rudy Giuliani, who's another piece of work. We don't even have time to talk about how trash he is, except that he is trash. Mm-hmm. So I don't know from whom this $98.6 million is supposed to come. I don't know if it's supposed to be the city of Dallas by way of the police department. Certainly Amber Geiger is never going to make that much money. So I don't know how if it's going to be split, but the fact that the jury verdict came back in Texas with a police officer shooting a black man is not insignificant. No matter what the disposition of the assets ends up being. There is something to be said for that. I don't know how much more perfect a scenario you'd have to have than a black man being in his own ass house and somebody coming into his house in a stand
eating ice cream.
Eating ice cream and being shot in his own house. I don't know. Intellectually, it boggles the mind as how there could be any other outcome. I think she should have been convicted of murder, but
they built the story for that girl. They tried to say that they had a relationship, all that stuff. I mean,
but that was bullshit.
Best.
No, that was bullshit. They didn't have a relationship.
Yeah, he never knew that woman. I think he may have seen her in passing in the complex.
Yeah, maybe. No, I mean, it was all trash. But $98.6 million, we'll see. I mean, obviously, nothing can compensate for the loss of their child. Mm-hmm. But, in this world, in this country, financial damages are what we do. We're still selling our bodies for the satisfaction of the state.
I mean, that's how New York Life got started, was insuring black bodies as property, loss of it. Mm-hmm.
So not very much has changed. And the 1619 project is still fully in effect. And there it is, visible, the 16 project over Joy's right shoulder. One thing that I will put, first of all, I will say, as we bring the show to a close, I want to thank everybody. Viewership was higher this week. I don't know if that's because you all invited some folks to come along. Please keep inviting. And if you are a first-time watcher of Steel Sharpens Steel, we welcome you. We thank you for being
and we really love each other. We fight, but we really love each other. This was
we're not really gonna punch each other.
No, it's itchy and scratchy and scritchy. It's
I gave her the character breakdown. She delivered.
We fight.
It was
so
wait, Tom.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Go
say that again. No, say it again. You said the improv.
I said I gave her the character breakdown. She delivered. I was very improv. I responded. It was yes, and we're good.
Oh, and just one thing, Mark. I saw our good friend of the show and sometimes guest Mark talking about. He made a correction like the Dems are not branded as being overrun with progressives. I know that we've talked about specifically what a progressive really is, and when I said that, I just wanted to make. I was making a comment the way the the way the far right likes to characterize the Democratic Party as being the party of all these small fringe causes. And when I said that, I didn't necessarily mean progressive. So thank you for saying that. They are not. You're right. And they do like to offer up weak tea versions of bills at best, and they never really go for something truly progressive. You're absolutely right about that. But they do get characterized as being the cause party and never really doing anything, to be honest. But yeah, I do think going back to, like you said, pre-Clinton Labor Party would be, because nobody even really remembers Clinton, to be honest. Like, as far as what he did, he was so long ago.
Well, don't ask, don't tell is all I remember. So
I remember that too. Don't ask, don't tell, and the cigar scandal is like all I remember.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Blue dress. So I want to think this is the part of the show where we kind of try to tee up for the future. So we're noticing that 75% of viewership is on YouTube. The great thing about that is that when you subscribe and you enable notifications, you are telling YouTube to serve this content to you. You're not depending on the algorithm of the other platform to steer it to you. You are basically demanding that this content be served to you. If you enjoyed this show tonight, please share the link with somebody so that they can come and join us next year or next week. And when they do, actually next week is Thanksgiving. So we're definitely not doing a show on Thanksgiving. Although we will probably put up some archive Thanksgiving clapbacks, because I think this would be a great year for Thanksgiving clapbacks. So watch the feed for Thanksgiving clapbacks. I'm sure we will be able to find some that will be delightful. But in the interim, please share this episode, share one of your favorite episodes, and ask those people to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that more and more people know every single week. And I'm seeing the numbers climb again. Thank you so much, everybody. We cannot explain to you enough how much it means when we ask you all to share the show, and you actually do, and people come and watch the show and end up enjoying it. That's why our viewership has been climbing over the last several weeks. And we want all of you who have become a part of the Steel Sharp and Steel family to continue to join us, continue to share your thoughts. We love the interaction. You all are as much a part of the show as we are. We love you, Anthony. We love all of our Sharpies. We thank you. And with that, I will say I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Jermaine Taylor.
And I'm Joyce Stevens.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, or Friendsgiving, or whatever giving you're going to be giving.
And please send some tips for a really good mac and cheese. I want to do something different this year. Put some tips in the comments so I can see what you guys are doing.
I actually have a very good.
Oh, you do? Oh,
converse. Great mac and cheese recipe. So, but yes, that's a great idea. Drop in the thread on the YouTube comments or on Bookface. Drop some of your favorite recipes. I'm going to be making greens. I'm making a turkey. I'm supporting my undergraduate frat brothers who are doing a meal for students who can't go home. So I'll be doing that on Wednesday night.
You put vinegar in your greens?
Huh?
You put vinegar in your greens?
I do.
You do. What about you?
What kind of question is that?
You put vinegar.
I don't put sugar in my greens, nor in my grits. Anyway, that's this is the end of the show. We thank you. We're exactly at 1.5 hours, and that's as good a time as any. Go enjoy yourself. Watch something this weekend. Gladiator 2, Wicked, if that's your thing.
Bye, everybody.
Do what you're gonna do. Bye.